The two-week UN summit on climate change kicked off today with opening remarks on the urgent need for global cooperation.
Do you really want even further global instability, costing precious life? This crisis is affecting every single individual in the world, one way or another.
COP29 is taking place in the capital of Azerbaijan, Baku. World leaders, climate experts, and advocates are discussing the climate crisis and the need to fund developing nations which could face the brunt of climate-induced natural disasters. The summit is taking place as fears grow the U.S. might pull out of climate talks after the election of Donald Trump. And joining me now is Paul Beckwith, a climate systems scientist. Paul, thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you.
You've been there all weekend, and the summit has officially opened. How are things feeling there? What is the mood? Is there optimism?
Well, it's chaotic right now. This is the first day, so lots of people coming in and lots of crowded hallways, and it's a little bit too warm, and the CO2 levels are too high in the venue. I have a CO2 detector with me, but this is sort of par for the course for COPs.
And one of the focuses this year, I should say, is how to limit long-term global temperatures. We're seeing this likely going to go down as the hottest year ever. You had a chance to speak with our Environment Minister, Stephen Guilbeault, about that. What's Canada's commitment looking like?
Well, the one of the focuses of the UN and these climate conferences is 1.5 degrees. We hear it all the time. And the report from Copernicus and the European Climate Center said we're going to be at 1.55 or 1.6 for this calendar year. And we've had several months that have been 1.75 and higher. So I think we're going to have to get away from this idea of 1.5. It's just not going to happen. We need to focus maybe on 2 degrees targets and see if we can maintain those, because we've blown past the 1.5 already. So I talked to Mr. Guilbeault about this, and he kind of nodded and kind of said, well, this is a UN target, right? And Canada can only sort of do what's within the UN sort of targets. But he acknowledged that 1.5. Temperatures are rising much quicker than anybody's expected. It surprised a lot of people, a lot of scientists.
And with that the quicker than expected rise, and now maybe a goal of 2 Celsius, is there hope that we will reach it? I mean, we had trouble trying to stop it at 1.5. What makes you think things will change?
Yes, well, with the U.S. election change, a lot of people are wondering whether we've lost the ability to do much. If the U.S. is supposed to be leading the world, but I think cities and states and within the U.S. and, other countries have to take over, and lead the effort. And we really need to strive to do that, because the danger is, as temperature continues to rise and we get more and more extreme weather events, the danger is that we get simultaneous crop failures, for example, and global food shortages. So, it's expensive and difficult to keep carbon down or get it down, but it's still rising at accelerating rates. But we don't really have a choice. We're going to pay for it one way or the other. I mean, if we kind of ignore climate and policies and don't, hand wave and don't get things done, then climate will come and get us, and we're going to pay for it one way or the other.
With that saying, you want to see other groups take the lead. You've had a chance to look at some of the pavilions, the NGO booths that are there. Is anything that stands out for you?
Again, it's just very, very chaotic today, but I've managed to sort of go around the whole venue, and there's lots of NGOs. One in particular that's my favorite one pavilion is on specific topics, is there's a cryosphere pavilion. It's all about the Arctic and the Antarctic and loss of sea ice and snow cover, how quickly ice is melting, sea level rise, all those things. Also, there was an ocean pavilion, which I just, attended some sessions there. And the whole emphasis of this is to perhaps find ways of carbon dioxide removal. So they call it OCDR, ocean carbon dioxide removal. And the UN's actually saying that we have to remove carbon from the atmosphere-ocean system as rapidly as possible. And they're talking about, maybe a third of the global emissions to remove that by 2040, 2050 sort of time frame. So we need a lot of research in that area. So what gives me hope on addressing climate change is not emissions reductions. It's technologies like for carbon dioxide removal, technologies for destruction of methane to lower methane levels, and also technologies to perhaps cool the planet, so-called solar radiation management technologies. These scare a lot of people, but we've left it too late to just rely on emissions. And we still have record subsidies for fossil fuels. So how can we reduce emissions if governments are still paying to have more emissions, basically?
Okay. Paul, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.